For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, and thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. You know, we're heading into the end of March, and, you know, the typical traditional TV season used to start in September, right? And you'd have mid-season shows. Let me just explain the way television works for some of you who might not know. There's a kind of like then a second season of shows that starts in January or February sometimes. And now, like I said, we're coming into the end of March. What I'm getting at is Roseanne is back on ABC. You remember that sitcom? I was a kid when it was on. I think actually I was DJ's age, Michael Fishman. And coincidentally, he's on the show today. He's talking about the new season of the show and what it was like getting the cast back together. And there's a lot more of them now because the Connor kids also have kids themselves. And some interesting storylines. You know, it gets a little bit political. And just, I know some of you have seen the previews on TV or online. And a lot of you I've seen are thinking that it's a very like Trump/Clinton sort of storyline. It's going to be a political show. It's actually really not. You know, the ABC network had sent out what's called a screener to the media, actually screeners, 3 episodes of the new season for us to take a look at and review and comment on, and I did that a few weeks ago, and it was it's really not a political show, and like I said, coincidentally, they don't even say the names Trump or Clinton. It's just sort of implied that you know who the cast is talking about, but Roseanne and Jackie certainly have a falling out. Anyway, Michael Fishman is coming up a little bit, actually just after the first break, and he's going to be telling us all about it. And you know, this is one of those things where all of these classic TV shows are coming back, right? Will and Grace, Roseanne. I'm good that it's the shows that I used to watch and I really liked. Full House, bit of a downer with Fuller House, but nevertheless, Will and Grace, Roseanne are back, and I couldn't be happier. If there's a show that you want to see come back, I want to tell me what show you'd like to see come back. Live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. One of the shows that I would love to come back is Married with Children, but here's why it won't. And I haven't heard from anybody at Fox or any of the other, any parties involved. But comedy has changed so much that everything is offensive nowadays, right? You can't make those fat jokes like Al Bundy used to make. You can't make the sexist comments like Al Bundy used to make, even though you're writing a sitcom that you're kind of just picking up where you left off 20-some years ago. It just wouldn't fly with today's audience. So, anyway, we're going to take a break. Michael Fishman from Roseanne is coming up after the break.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Celeb spotting on the Scribble.
The Connors are back on ABC. Of course, I'm talking about the return of Roseanne. And we've got DJ Connor, Michael Fishman, joining us on the line to talk about the season premiere. Hey, Michael.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, yeah, it's been a long time coming, I would say. The show is back. And first off, I have to ask, as everybody probably does, did you ever think the show would return?
Yeah, it's funny. I probably am one of the few people who actually did think it was possible. Roseanne and I have talked through the years because we've worked on other stuff. And we've always talked about ideas, and she's always had more things to say. So I thought maybe somewhere down the road it was possible, but there's so many moving parts, and so many people do so many other projects. I didn't know if we'd ever be able to get everybody back together, and I certainly didn't think it happened this fast or this amazing.
How did it all come together then? Was everybody sort of on board? Did other people say, you know what, I've got other commitments, I don't really know? Like, how smooth was it to rally the troops?
Yeah, Sarah Gilbert does the talk, and John
Right.
Goodman went on there and did an interview, and they did kind of this little skit about Darlene talking to Dan, and that kind of blew up on the internet, and then Roseanne came out on Twitter and said that she'd love to do a reunion, and then the next thing you know, Sarah Gilbert really kind of took the ball and ran with it and kind of made it her personal mission, and pretty much from everybody I've talked to and everything everybody said, they all kind of had the same reaction I did, was, yeah, absolutely. If we're all in, then let's do it.
And the great thing about the show, Roseanne, is that, the family dynamic is something that a lot of people can relate to. And when you think back, or going ahead now 20-some years, family relationships have changed, the way families communicate, right? There's social media, there's texting, there's all this. So it really seems fitting that the family can now come back and get caught up with the times.
Yeah, it's really nice because we're not really so much doing a reunion as we are jumping forward in the lives of the Connors, and everybody just fits. You have kind of 20 years of history and friendship, and all those relationships still work, but then you get this beautiful transition of, like, Darlene and Becky and DJ as adults, and that relationship as siblings as adults, and to see those of us who have kids on the show, which means you get to see Roseanne and Dan as grandparents, not just parents, and I think it adds an extra layer to the show.
Well, let's talk about the new season. I've watched a few of the new episodes. You say there's a whole bunch of new people, right? The Connor kids have kids. So how many kids do you have? Or does DJ have?
One. I have a daughter. Yeah, DJ has one. Her name is Mary, kind of after their grandmother, or great-grandmother.
And then now Darlene also has a son, and there's some concern, at least from Grandpa, about the boy's wardrobe choice, right? There's worried about being bullied at school. And so the show is once again taking on relevant storylines, things that everyday people are experiencing, right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing this show is special. It always has, we dive right into whatever the deep end is of things going on in society and in normal families. So what you see with Mark's character, which is Darlene's son, and then also with her daughter Harris, is you see kind of what is now modern day coming of age. Darlene and he kind of were the stereotypical teenagers the first time around, and DJ was the little brother. And now we have a whole different generation of kids kind of coming of age in this time period, dealing with, technology and the difference in perception and bullying and clothing and styles and personalities. It's pretty exciting.
On the subject of having kids, let's swing to the two Beckys, and I'm not sure how much we can say, but it's looking like Becky's going to have a baby, right?
Yes. So Becky makes a deal with Andrea, who is played by Sarah Chalk, who was the second Becky, to be her surrogate. And what you'll see is it all kind of works out in a way that makes perfect sense in the Connors' lives, but it definitely creates some conflict because the idea of being a surrogate is kind of definitely an escape and a change for, in particular, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it seems like Dan maybe kind of has the most reservations about the direction of the family, right? We talked about Darlene's son and the wardrobe, and now, Becky having a baby, of somebody else's baby.
Yeah, I think it gives John Goodman a tremendous opportunity. Dan is such an amazing character as a dad, to be loving and supportive, but to be honest in the fact that sometimes he's uncomfortable with parts of what's going on and that he's finding himself in kind of this changing world that doesn't look familiar to him and the one that he grew up in, I think has worked out really well.
As a father on the set, I mean, let's talk about the first run of the show, because you were a kid. And basically, you were Roseanne and John Goodman's son, not only on television, but I mean, obviously you spent so much time together on a daily basis. I imagine they were somewhat like parents to you. What is it like now? You're all grown up. Are they still kind of like mom and dad, or how do you view them?
Yeah, it's interesting for me because they're kind of in this realm of second parents, but they're also my friends and colleagues, and I have kids of my own, and it's been great for my kids who know them in my personal life and have heard stories about us all working, to get to enjoy all of us coming together and working once again. And then on set, you know, being a dad and an adult this time around, I've tried really hard to make sure that I'm kind of a support structure for our young kids, because I felt like the people I worked with took great care of me. It's one of the reasons I had such an amazing experience growing up in this business. So now it's my job to kind of pay that forward and kind of lay the groundwork and be a support structure for Jaden, who plays Mary, my daughter, and for Ames, who plays Mark, Darlene's son.
What was it like when you guys had that first rehearsal back then? Did you all just kind of get right back into it? Did it kind of take a little while? What was that like?
Well, I've seen everybody since the show went off. I've pretty much kept in contact with everybody in one fashion or another. So for me, the connection's a little easier. When you walk on stage, though, it's really funny because we all feel like it doesn't feel like that much time has gone by, and I think it shows in the episodes. We all just fit together. We love working together. It's fun. It's a great place to come to work. It's a great place to kind of play and challenge each other, and you want to be the support structure, and you want to be great for the whole team because you feel like everybody's good.
And one of the really good storylines this season is, well, I guess it's political, right? And the reason why Roseanne and Jackie are kind of feuding, and it's about presidential candidates, right? Roseanne, now that I think about it, I don't even think Trump or Clinton the names are actually said on the episode, are they?
No, you know, it was really important to us to acknowledge what's going on in our country, because we felt like there's a lot of families that are divided, but we didn't want to make it specific to just one candidate or one side. And so we've been pretty general about, we don't really name names so much as we deal with what's going on in the family. And as you progress through the series of episodes, it's not as political as I think people are anticipating. It really is about the Connor family and them kind of finding their way in the modern world.
Well, can you give us a sneak peek then at some of maybe the other storylines that are happening on the season?
Well, yeah, as we mentioned before, you know, Becky is going to be a surrogate. That brings with it all kinds of questions as far as, you know, having a kid, being willing to give up a kid, having a grandchild. Does the grandchild go away? Being involved afterwards, and all of those things. For me, my character comes back from the military. It was really important to me. I was really lucky to be given this opportunity to kind of touch and dive into a little bit of what it's like to return, to have a wife who is still active military. So he very much is kind of a single parent in the sense that he is at home while his wife is away and dealing with that, but also dealing with reacclimating to society as a veteran. And then for Darlene, coming back from Chicago and some of the things in her life not working out quite the way she had planned them, and really putting her family first. And then you get to see Roseanne and Dan as grandparents who have to kind of still be that guiding leadership role, but in a different way now as grandparents.
Is there a favorite scene or a favorite joke from the season that we should be watching for? Is there one that just made you, like, just fall over laughing?
Well, you know, Laurie Metcalf is just so fantastic. I think I love to watch her reactions. There are times when, you know, you can just watch her face and it says a million things, so she's always a highlight. There are some really fantastic scenes between Sarah Gilbert and Lisa Goranson as adults with Becky and Darlene. Kind of, you can see that underlying camaraderie, but also that tension they had as kids, and then you see it shape and kind of shift as adults getting together and supporting each other. And then for me, I was, super lucky to get to have a one-on-one scene with John Goodman. I think that scene's pretty powerful, of DJ kind of talking about what it's like to be him right now and trying to find his way and getting some guidance from his dad.
Let's switch gears, because it was a few years ago, actually, we chatted on, it wasn't the red carpet, it was the shag carpet at the Comedy Central roast, and your on-screen sister, actually, Lisi, joined us as well. You were working on films, you were doing filmmaking. What, outside of Roseanne, what are you working on?
Well, I have a bunch of projects that I'm pitching. I've written some screenplays and some pilots, and so I continue to kind of work in that fashion. I'm still acting, I'm still pushing that way, and then I'm a dad, so there's never a shortage of things to do. I think for me, it's the constant thing that I think most people are used to, of balancing being a parent and kind of chasing your career aspirations and then doing the solid things you have to do day to day to make everything work.
Well, we're going to be watching Roseanne. As I mentioned, it's back on ABC. When can we catch the show?
It's on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and I hope people come out. Fans are really going to be excited, and I think young viewers, my kids gave me kind of the seal of approval. That was one of the ways I knew I felt like we were on the right track, is they said this is a show that they would watch, and they were excited about it. So I think we're going to have a whole family get together, and I think that's what we hope for from the show, is that families will get together and be able to watch something together.
I guess, and the coolest thing now, though, since the show was on the first time, is that now you can interact with the audience as well. Are you going to be live tweeting or anything, or what are you going to be doing?
Yeah, my plan is to live tweet on most of them. I try to engage the fans on social media because I'm just so thankful for their support. Their support largely is the reason we're able to come back and do all this all these years later. So I try to make sure that they know that we think about them.
Well, we're going to be watching Tuesdays and also tweeting Tuesdays along with the cast of Roseanne. Michael Fishman, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Send me some messages during. We'll go back and forth.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. I think I've made it known on occasion that I don't care for children. And so, we were on location doing a travel broadcast at a children's museum, and I was joking to the tourism guy, make sure those kids don't get near me, they don't touch me, don't let them near me, I will backhand them, whatever. Obviously I wouldn't, but I'm not a fan of children. Now, I'm also not a fan of parents who don't pay attention to their kids in public. And again, when I wrote my book, Put Down Your Damn Phone Already, I did comment on parents that are like that, where their kids will be jumping and trying to get their attention, and, hey mom, look at me, and the mom is texting or whatever she's doing on her phone. So I was out, I was doing some running around. I was starving. I actually just couldn't do any more, and I wasn't near home, so I had to stop at a Burger King. Okay? Now, you know, a lot of these fast food restaurants have that playground area, play zone, whatever it's called. And so I'm ordering my food, and then I'm sitting down, and it was about 6 p.m. It was, you know, dinner time. There was a rush. The drive-through was beeping, and there was a buzz in the building. And that's fine. I don't mind background noise. But then there's this kid standing on the chair singing, oh God, what was the song? This old man, he played knick-knack, da-da-da, with a knick-knack, paddywhack, right? That song. She's standing on the chair, and at first Mom shushed her. I threw some fries. No, at first Mom shushed her and told her to sit down, to get off the chair. And she did it. Then she stood up again. So Mom just kind of gave up right away. Like, it was just sort of like, I've already told you. And then she was distracted with her phone, so Mom really stopped paying attention. But now, Kid, I guess because Kid is not getting that attention anymore, is now determined to sing louder and stomp on the chair as she sings. And then eventually is, Mom, can we go to the playground or the playland, whatever it's called? Can we go in there? And that's in a sort of an enclosed room, so there's like a door, and it's not quite soundproof because you can still hear them squealing. That, you know, that kid squeal that they have? Yeah, go. Okay, here's the deal. Stop at Burger King. So, when I was a kid, back in my day, this is one of those stories, back in my day, that going to that part of the restaurant was the reward. So if we sat down and we behaved and we were respectful of others and not stomping and not singing and annoying the piss out of other people, then we could go and play. But now, and again, there were quite a few moms that were doing this, where the kids weren't eating and they were spinning in their chair and they wouldn't stop when Mom or Dad or whoever told them to. And then they're going and they're running around, or they're going and filling up their Coke and then spilling it all, even though Mom told them not to. That's like the playground is just kind of actually get out of Mommy's face and go in the playground. That seems to be what's happening nowadays. Now, again, I'm not saying all parents don't email me and say that, I don't do that with my kid, blah, blah, blah. Okay? What I'm saying is parents have kind of given up, let the kid do whatever the hell they want, and the kid is calling the shots. I see that with family members, and I see that with friends as well. So I'm even going to call out some family members on this one. That, you are that parent. You used to be that person that would make the same comments as me, but now you've got kids, and you are that dad. When we're at a restaurant, and you tell the kid, stop, chill out, you're going to spill your drink, 2 seconds later the drink is spilled. Now you roll your eyes, and you're like, well, there you go. No, discipline the kid. Discipline the kid for not listening to you. Right? That's what you're supposed to do, I believe. Let's get Super Nanny on the phone. She's been on the radio show. That's probably exactly what she would say. Give them a timeout. You tell them that we're leaving and we're not going out to dine at restaurants anymore. So at Burger King, it was just so annoying that rather than being rewarded with time in the playground, it's like, that's just get out of Mom's face. Yeah, you know what? For the sake of everybody here, go there and do that and shut up and squeal and scream in there. And so that's, I believe, training the kids to just do whatever the hell they want, because if I piss off Mom enough, she's going to send me away and I got what I wanted. There we go. I can go play. Ha ha ha. Even though I was bad, we're not going home, because then Mom's going to have to just be pissed off with me right around there and being annoying. This way I can get away. She can brush me aside. She doesn't have to pay attention to me, and I get to have fun. She's playing on her phone anyway, so she doesn't even notice. I have some very, strong feelings about certain things like this when it comes to parenting. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I've also got the feeling about pet owners too, though, about dogs. When I'm walking my dogs down the street or down the sidewalk, and we are on that block first, and we're halfway down the sidewalk, and then somebody turns onto the sidewalk, I feel we were here first, we've got the right of way. You cross the street, you go to the other sidewalk until you pass us. And then there's these people who, I've got 2 fairly big dogs, and it's always the small little yappy ones that are trying to attack mine, and I'm just like, yeah, one bite, you're done, you little yappy piece of crap. But then there's the people that will and it doesn't happen often, but they'll cross the street almost like they're coming to bring their dog over to visit, and I'm like, yeah, no, don't get close to me like that. Just don't do that. Why are you doing that? You know your dog is already bouncing and pulling, and you're sort of on the boulevard trying to pass us. Keep walking. pull your dog by the leash and keep going. Because now it's causing a scene, and my dogs are getting riled up because they're like, hey, well, let's go see this thing who's barking at us. And now we've got an issue where I'm tangled up with my dogs. You're trying to, like, keep walking, train your dog to go. My dogs don't stop and piss everywhere and sniff everything or whatever. We're out there, we're doing a power walk, and we're going. And we mean business when we're out there walking. So mine are trained to walk just fine. And they're not barking at people. They're not doing all of these things as we pass. But again, that's because they've been trained that way. They will wait to pee and poop by the time we get back home. Or actually, they go before we even leave the house. They know to go outside to go to the bathroom because we're going for a walk. And so, again, I just feel like if you're responsible for training something, child, pet, whatever it is, then you do have that obligation. Because you've got to think that if we're going out in public... Now, I know for a fact that my dogs won't do well at, like, a community event where they're, like, you know, they have those, like, different dog parties and things like that for fundraisers and stuff. I know my dogs wouldn't be good there. So we don't go. I know that I would have so much fun taking the dogs there and they would be playful and whatever. They don't go out in public. They're not, you know, and so I just know not to do it. So if you know that your kid is going to be obnoxious in a store and you need to have them on a leash, that's saying something about your parenting. It is. It is. Because your kid has trained you as opposed to you training the kid. We never had leashes or anything like that when we were growing up. We were at a store. We were right beside mom. We might ask hey, can we go down this aisle? Hey, can we look at this? But we weren't straying and running away. My mom came over to walk the dogs with me the other night, and she was saying that she was at the grocery store, and a kid reached into one of those, like, bulk bins and grabbed a whole bunch of gummy worms and was holding them in his hand and then put them down. And then when mom was getting closer, his mom was getting closer, reached in again and was like, Mom, can we get these? Can we get these? And she says no, and he puts them back in the container. So he had 2 handfuls, potentially the same ones, right? But who knows? Now he's contaminated 2 of them, potentially. And my mom, she did say that she mentioned to him, like, you know, you're not supposed to touch those. Why are you doing that? And then he kind of ran over to his mom. And I was like, Mom, these days that can start a problem in a store. But good on you for saying something to the woman. And... it's just, I'm fascinated by these things that people do. Like, I just can't believe it. Like, when my dogs go outside, and they will sometimes bark if somebody's walking by, I freak out because I might be washing dishes in the kitchen, or I might be doing something, and they've only been outside for not even 20 seconds, but they start barking. I fly to the back door and let them in almost right away. Even if it was just 2 or 3 barks, I don't want them out there doing that because I'm considerate of the neighbors around me. I know that I don't want to hear a dog barking all hours of the night, and, you know, that somebody who goes out and just leaves their dog outside, that is the most annoying thing. Neighbors down the way did that. I don't know if they still live in the neighborhood, but there was one summer where that's all I heard. I was trying to lay out in the backyard, and I just heard their dog bark, 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 bark. It's one thing, yes, you think about the well-being of your pet, and it was a sweltering summer day, so I'm hoping that dog had water or shade or something. But secondly, like, there's just no consideration for people around you. So whether you're at Burger King and you're trying to have, and again, I'm not expecting it's going to be a quiet meal at a fast food restaurant, I get that. But when the kid is stomping and singing, like, think of the people around you. It's just, it's crazy. There's just no respect for people these days. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter @The Scribble Show and @thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. You know what I was just thinking about? I was thinking it in the last segment, but I didn't want to get off topic. You remember on the first season or the first series of Roseanne, where DJ Connor, they had the masturbation episode. I should have asked Michael about that, because again, you know, I mentioned at the top of the show that comedy styles have changed, right? So back in the day where you couldn't say erection, you couldn't, you know, say all those things. I wonder if you can get away with that now, right? Because comedy on television has sort of it's kind of come full circle, where back in the 70s with All in the Family, it was offensive and racist and what have you. Racist comments were laughable. Then we kind of went through this sensitive period where we couldn't, and now I don't know. I don't know what would work and what wouldn't. Masturbation is probably fair game because, TV shows have become a lot more sexual. That hasn't toned down at all, but nevertheless. All right, my name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Feel free to give me a shout anytime. It's always awesome hearing from you. Live at jbonair.com is the email address. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat